Alright guys, today's video is going to be a fun one because we have some very interesting comments coming from Phil Spencer where he's talking about the PlayStation 5 reveal event, but he's also letting us know what we can expect, or I guess we could say his confidence level in the upcoming July Xbox event. And I find this incredibly interesting because you can tell that things are starting to heat up, and this, in my opinion, is classic Phil Spencer, where he's coming out here being a nice guy, making some passive-aggressive comments, but aggressive nonetheless, and attempting to flex on Sony. And the reason why I can't help but laugh is because this is something that we have continually seen from Phil Spencer, where he hypes things up, and this is just Xbox in general at this point, to be honest, where they continually hype things up just to leave people let down. Now, am I saying that that's what's going to happen with this July event? Absolutely not. In fact, you'll probably find, if you listen to the entirety of this video, that I think Microsoft is going to have a massive presence with this July event, but still, these comments are interesting nonetheless, and I certainly had to take some time here to highlight them, let you guys know what Phil Spencer's saying, and just give my thoughts on it as well. So that's what we're going to be going over in today's video. If you could do me a big favor, make sure you hit the like button to show your support and help it out, and hit the subscribe button as well so you don't miss any future content. But he was recently talking during Game Lab Live, and he was just giving his thoughts on how Sony did with the PlayStation 5 reveal event, and even though he did have positive things to say, he made it very clear, in my opinion, that he fully expects that they are going to be able to outdo Sony at the beginning of this generation, whether it's with this showing or even at launch. He's basically saying that he thinks, or he knows, that they have significant advantages, and he's confident that these advantages are going to allow them to compete at a very high level with Sony and really bring it to them. So this is exactly what Phil Spencer had to say. As a competitor, it's great to have them out there now so that we kind of know what the program is. We've seen the device, we've seen the games. Just being honest, I felt good after seeing their show. I think the hardware advantages that we've built are going to show up as we're talking more about our games, frame rates, and other things. I thought the games lineup that we're going to have at launch, I felt really good about. We got more clarity on what they're doing, obviously, at their show, which helps us focus more on what we have, and I think that'll be a strength for us at launch. So I thought they did a good job. I thought they do what they do very well, and they did that. But when I think about the position that we're in with the games that we're going to be able to show and how they're going to show up and the hardware advantage that we have, I think we're in a very good position. Now, listen, that is Phil Spencer, make no mistake about it, basically saying that, I'm going to translate that. Phil's saying, yeah, Sony did good and they did what they do really well, but we're going to do it better. We have the better console, we're going to have the better looking games, and I'm feeling pretty confident about that. That's essentially what he's saying here, and that's why I find these comments so interesting, because the real question is this: can we believe you, Phil? Like, should we believe you? Now, if you're an Xbox fan, of course you're going to say yes to Phil Spencer. You're going to say, yes, 100% agreed, I believe you. However, if you're on the outside looking in, or if you've been burned by Xbox in the past, like many people have, you're most likely going to say, okay, that's nice, but let's just reserve our judgment and let's just keep our expectations in check until we actually see it. And I feel as though this is just an important thing to highlight, because I want to let you know right now, if you were to ask me, MBG, how do you feel about Xbox's July showing? Like, how do I feel about Phil Spencer's comments here? I feel kind of in the middle, although I am leaning more towards I do believe Phil Spencer. I do believe that he is confident for a reason. I just don't know if it's going to be as significant as he's making it sound. It sounds like what he's trying to get at here is that what their plan is over there at Microsoft is to try to look at the things that Sony didn't really convey too well, such as he did mention frame rates here. And a lot of us are under the assumption, and it may actually end up being true, especially when you look at the Digital Foundry breakdown, that most of the games, if not all of them pretty much, that were shown off, not all of them, but most of them, were running at 30 FPS. And Sony didn't comment on this. They didn't come out and say that, oh, all of these games are going to hit 60 FPS. They're just being streamed at 30 FPS. Like, there's no clarification on this. This is an area where, because Sony went first, Microsoft may be able to capitalize on this, and if they do have more of their games running at 60 FPS, that's a huge selling point, a huge bragging point. He keeps mentioning the advantages that their hardware is going to have, and they're going to try to convey this in the show. Now, what does this mean? To me, this comes down to things like ray tracing, again, potentially frame rates, but overall just trying to show that games are going to look really, really good on the next generation Xbox, but it sounds to me like he's really trying to emphasize that they're not just going to look good, but they're going to look better than the games you saw on the PS5. Now, is this what's going to happen? I honestly don't know. I can only assume that Microsoft has been putting absolutely everything they have into this July show because they need to. They need to. And I'm sure the reason why I take Phil Spencer's comments, I don't want to say super seriously right now, but I don't doubt him in this case, is because there's no way, there's no conceivable way that Phil Spencer can be in the position he's in, say these types of things, and us end up seeing an event that was similar to what we saw in May or even E3 of last year. There's just no way. I have to believe that they have been saving a lot of things up for this moment, and this is going to be the big moment for them, again, because they need it. If they mess up again like they did in May, it's over. It's over for them. They just ruined their chance at really trying to bring that competition to PlayStation. And so I have to admit, I do like to hear this. I do like to hear the confidence in Phil Spencer here. I do like to hear about him letting us know that, you know, look, guys, he's straight up saying that he felt good after seeing Sony's show. Now, why would Phil Spencer feel good about seeing their main competitor show? There's only one reason he would say that and say it in such a way. It's because he feels like in his mind what they have is, I'd say, significantly better than what Sony has shown. And that's the only reason I could imagine in my head that Phil Spencer would actually go on record saying something like that. And so I want to ask you guys at this point, I'm going to be very interested to see the comments. I think I know how most of you feel already. I think most of you are taking the approach, and I certainly can't blame you, and I know that many of you believe I should take the same approach, where we have to look at this and just kind of say, look, talk is talk. And I 100% agree. In fact, if you go back all the way back to like 2014, you'll see that every year Phil Spencer's been kind of saying the same thing, which is, this is going to be our best year ever. This is going to be our best E3 ever. This is going to be our best games lineup ever. And each year it's just more and more disappointing. But we have to understand that there is a huge difference right now between what Phil Spencer said in 2016 and 2017 versus what he's saying here now in the middle of 2020. That difference is, this is a new generation. So I'm willing to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here, not entirely, but enough to where it's like, if you want me to believe that you're going to have a lot to show at this event and you're not going to, just come out and disappoint people, fine. I will at least anticipate there will be something significant, or maybe a few significant things. But do I think that Microsoft is going to be able to one-up Sony here? Do I think that maybe Phil Spencer's being a little bit overly confident? It's possible. I want to say most likely, yeah. And the reason why I say that is because, and this is where I want to end the video, because I feel like this is a really important thing for people to understand. I see that a lot of Xbox guys are getting really riled up over Phil Spencer's comments here, and understandably so. I mean, this is what you want to hear. Obviously, Phil's not going to come out here and say, yeah, I think our show's going to be good. I hope it's good. I mean, he's going to hype it up. And he did confirm on Twitter, I believe, that this show is not going to be anything like the May show. They did get the feedback. It's going to be much more professional, which is great to hear, because I think we all can agree that that's something that absolutely needs to be there, that Sony proved you can do at a time like this, and so Microsoft is going to do it. But the final thing I'm trying to say here is that the difference, in my opinion, between the position that Sony is in right now versus the position that Microsoft is in is, let's say Microsoft does have a better showing than Sony did. The only way, in my opinion, that's going to be possible is if Microsoft is willing to reveal nearly everything that they have now, coming in the near future, and even further down the pipeline. I honestly feel that's the only way they're going to be able to have a better reveal than Sony did. But what we have to understand is the reason why that reveal would be better is because Sony didn't do that. If you look at Sony's reveal, Sony was pretty keen to make sure that what you're seeing is within the first year, more than likely, of the PlayStation 5 being on the market. Even when you look at a game like Horizon, they confirmed it's going to be coming out in 2021. So even if it launches in holiday of 2021, that's still within 1 year. There's a lot of stuff that is most likely in the works right now that they could have teased if they wanted to. They could have shown off maybe a little glimpse of, but they decided we're going to save that for a later time. Whereas I fully believe that Microsoft is not taking that approach with this event. I think, and we've heard this as well from supposed insiders, that Microsoft's approach to this event is they are laying all the cards on the table. And so, to be completely honest with you guys, I do think that what Phil Spencer is saying here could end up being true. I think Microsoft's event could end up being potentially bigger than Sony's in the sense that they end up showing more stuff than Sony did. More games that are going to be coming even further down the pipeline because they have to do that. This is a necessary thing that Microsoft has to do to get off to the best possible start. But my question to everybody at this point is, what do you think will happen after that? Do you think Sony isn't going to be able to retaliate? Do you think Sony isn't anticipating this? Do you think Sony isn't sitting back aware that Microsoft is going to be going in hard with this event and they're going to have something to kind of follow up with, right? They're going to have a counter of their own. Do you really think, for as long as Sony's been in this business and as long as they've been competing with Microsoft, they don't have something up their sleeve? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, they most likely do. And if they don't, I would be absolutely shocked. But what I do know for a fact they do have are a lot of things that are currently in the works that have yet to be talked about or yet to be revealed. As of right now, at the time of this recording, so does Microsoft, but we're going to see that in July. And so it makes me question, what will Sony's follow-up be? So that's my thoughts on this, guys. It did run a little bit long. I apologize. I may be rambling a little bit, but I just find this incredibly interesting, and it brings up a really interesting conversation. And we've been talking about this a lot. And so we have Phil Spencer coming out here attempting to flex on Sony, talking about their games, saying he's feeling even more confident in their launch lineup and the hardware advantages. And so we're going to have to see how this all pans out, guys. It'll be very interesting to see how the conversation begins to transform and unfold going into July, now that we're becoming more removed from the Sony PS5 event. We have to understand that Sony still has a lot to say about the PS5 and a lot to reveal. And something tells me that even if Microsoft has the best show they've ever had in the history of Xbox, Sony's not going to let them run away with that. They're going to have something else of their own that they're hiding up their sleeve. So yeah, that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, be sure to leave the video a like and make sure you leave me your thoughts down in the comments below. I will be very interested to see what you guys have to say. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.